Welcome to Sports Cards once again. There's times as a sports card collector when the hunt for a card can be just as fun as possessing the card itself. But sometimes you want this hunt without the big cost that comes along with it. In this video, we're going to take a look at 10 insert sets from 93-94 and 94-95 that are beautiful and that can satisfy that itch to chase a set, but that don't require you to break the bank. The cards in this video are going to be the first 10 sets. Originally I was putting 20, but my video was just getting too long, so instead I've decided to split this up into two different videos. Number 1, 93-94 Stadium Club Beam Team. I figured this is a good place to start, since for many people the Beam Team inserts from Stadium Club were some of the very first insert sets that they really chased. I was originally going to put the 92-93 Beam Team cards on this list as well, but since we're looking for cheaper cards to chase, the 93-94 may be the better budget option. The Jordan card can still go for quite a lot. Most recent eBay comps at the time I'm making this video are in the $50 to $100 range, but besides the Jordan, the other cards in this set usually can be found for very little. That will actually be somewhat of a trend with some of the insert sets mentioned in this video. In order to be considered cheap, I'm basically looking for sets where most of the cards can be found for under like $10 or so, but almost never does the Jordan card fit into that kind of price scheme. So as long as the Jordan is at least under $100 or so most of the time, then the set could make the list. I know $100 is not cheap, but Jordan's expensive. Now just a few things about Stadium Club's Beam Team. Stadium Club actually made Beam Team cards in their basketball sets from 92 up to 96, then resurrected it in a few scattered years in the early part of the 21st century, but I would suggest that the first 2 years of the set, 92-93 and 93-94, are really when Beam Team was at its best. The look changed from year to year quite a lot, but I don't think they ever did better than those first 2 years. 93-94 Beam Team was a set of 27 cards with a lot of names in the mix. Of course, you have the superstars like MJ and Shaq and others you'd expect, but you also have some names that aren't as often remembered when thinking about the NBA in the early 90s, which I actually personally like. It's nice to have some reminders of players that were actually really good and really impactful in the NBA, but that aren't often discussed nowadays. Players like LaFonso Ellis, Dan Marley, Danny Manning, and Calbert Cheaney, for example. In the mid-90s, putting together this set by ripping wax would have been tough since they were only inserted 1 per 24 packs, but nowadays it's pretty easy to find most of them for under $5 a piece, except for the Jordan of course, and the Shaq might go for closer to $10 or so. Number 2, 93-94 Fleer Living Legends. You're definitely going to be seeing Fleer and even more so Fleer Ultra represented quite a lot more than anyone else on this list. In the mid-90s, Fleer and Fleer Ultra really seemed to be two of the more budget-oriented cards that really put their energy in producing some cool-looking inserts that are tailor-made for that list like this video. The Living Legends insert set from 93-94 Fleer is a pretty quick one to collect since it only consists of 6 cards, but has a bit more of an understated high-end feel to it, despite its usually low price tag. The 6 players on the list were veteran superstars at the time that will forever define the era of basketball. Charles Barkley, Larry Bird, Patrick Ewing, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Dominique Wilkins. Might have been able to add just a couple more names to that list in this set if you ask me, like Reggie Miller jumps to my mind immediately, but still you can't go wrong with that list of 6 names. The cards were inserted at a ratio of 1 per 24 packs, though the fact that there were only 6 names made it easier to collect the full set back in the day, even if you just committed yourself to opening a lot of relatively inexpensive Fleer packs with your paper route money. But nowadays, other than the Jordan, again, the other 5 cards in this set can pretty easily be found for under $10 a piece, maybe even under $5. Number 3, 93-94 Fleer Ultra Famous Nicknames. If you don't like the 93-94 Fleer Ultra inserts, then you should probably skip up several minutes ahead in this video because we're now in for quite a few back-to-back inserts from that set. I don't know if 93-94 Fleer Ultra inserts really are just the coolest ever, or if it's my nostalgia speaking, but these were some of my very favorite packs to open as a kid because of how much I loved the look of so many of their inserts. The 93-94 Fleer Ultra Famous Nicknames insert could be found in 1 in 5 packs, so they were pretty easy to pull. The 15 names in the set were the kind of names you'd expect to find in a set that focuses on the nicknames of NBA players, although I really appreciate that they included Muggsy Bogues in the mix, as he wasn't always the most common name to be found on cool-looking insert sets. Due to the relative ease of pulling these from packs at the time, their price is quite low now. Most of the cards could be found for under $3, and even the Jordan might only cost like $20, and it's quite a cool-looking card. It has the look of a card that seems like it should be much more valuable. Number 4. 93-94 Fleer Ultra Rebound Kings. Now everyone knows about the 93-94 Fleer Ultra Scoring Kings and the iconic Michael Jordan card, but that MJ card can have a price tag that can even come close to approaching 4 digits for a raw version, if it looks perfect. But for those on a budget, the Rebound Kings insert set from the same year can be a fun and much less expensive set to chase. Whereas the Scoring King inserts were found at a rate of 1 per 36 packs, the Rebound Kings could be found 1 per 4 packs. And while the Scoring King set featured some of the most prolific scorers of the era, the Rebound Kings focused on those who pulled in the boards. Within the 10 cards in this set, you get a lot of superstar names that stand out as highlights from this era of basketball card collecting, like Shaq, Olajuwon, Barkley, Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo, Shawn Kemp, Rodman, and others. And the fact that Charles Oakley is in the mix of names here is something I personally really like as well. 93-94 Fleer Ultra Power in the Key. Both the Rebound Kings and Power in the Key insert sets really highlight that at this time in the era of the NBA, the big man was highly respected. Both of these sets really feature players who played down low and with power. That being said, I'm not 100% sure why Michael Jordan is featured in this insert set, as he's the only non-power forward or center in the mix, and definitely played with a style completely different than the other 8 names featured in this set. I guess that MJ would just about make any insert set more popular, so they probably tried to include him just about anywhere they could. Once again, the names on this list is made up of mostly big men from the era you'd expect to see here, although I'm happy to see the addition of Otis Thorpe and somewhat baffled to see Oliver Miller here, as he was just a second-year late first-round draft pick from the year before who really didn't have much hype behind his name as far as I can remember. But whatever, it's cool to get a reminder of a player I had long forgotten about. Interestingly, while these cards were pretty much equally as rare as the Scoring King inserts, inserted at a rate of 1 per 37 packs, they can be found for quite a bit less nowadays by comparison. The Jordan can still run you close to $100, but most of the other cards can be found for under $10 if you look enough. Maybe you'd have to pay $15 for the Shaq, but still, that's quite a low price tag for a card found as uncommonly as these were. Number 6, 93-94 Fleer Ultra Inside Outside. If you're looking to put together a complete set of cool looking but extremely inexpensive inserts cards, for basically the money you can find hidden in your couch cushions, then Inside Outside may be the one for you. Even the Michael Jordan card in this insert set can be found for under $3, and the other 9 names could be found for under $1 pretty easily. If you're just looking for a short, quick, inexpensive chase to distract you from spending money on more expensive cards for a while, this could be a good option for you. You could probably put together the whole set for the price of a McDonald's Happy Meal. Number 7, 93-94 Fleer Ultra Jam City. And to round out the 93-94 cards, we have the 93-94 Fleer Ultra Jam City insert set. You might have to fork out a bit more for these cards than some of the other cards mentioned earlier, as they were also 1 out of every 37 packs, so again quite rare, and many of the names have a price tag closer to $15 to $20. But since there's no Jordan here, although Harold Miner, aka Baby Jordan, is in this set, it does make the overall price of the set a bit lower than some of the others if you add it all together. But I just had to include this set since I loved it so much as a kid. I just thought it was the bee's knees, the cat's meow, the snake's hip, and other cool phrases like this that I found when I looked up what bee's knees actually means. By the way, it means something of the highest quality. Once again, this was another set with a lot of the big names of the time. I mean, really, I think Shaq, Barkley, Olajuwon, Ewing, Dominique Wilkins, David Robinson, Shawn Kemp, they've pretty much all been in almost every insert set I've mentioned so far. This set also gets a Clyde Drexler, who hasn't been in nearly enough of these for my liking, by the way. And Harold Miner and Derek Coleman are also both here, and they've both been in the majority of these too, interestingly. Definitely think Fleer Ultra had some favorites. Crazy that Harold Miner has been showing up more frequently than Clyde Drexler though. 94-95 Fleer Ultra Jam City. Now moving on to the year 94-95. In most circumstances, I would have chosen to feature either just the 93-94 or the 94-95 Jam City insert set. But I just like both of them so much and in different ways, so I decided I'd use this set to transition from 93 to 94 instead. Then I could include both. It'd be hard for me to say which I prefer between 93-94 and 94-95 to be honest, especially because they just feel and look so very different from each other. If I was hard pressed to choose, I'd probably lean to the 93-94 version, but the one that came out a year later is very cool in its own right, and it feels very 1990s as well, which I like. The cards were slightly easier to find than the previous year's version, as they came 1 in every 7 packs, but they could only be found in the jumbo packs, so they weren't like popping up left and right or anything like that. The names of the 10 players in this set set included a couple from the year before like Shaq, Kemp, and Dominique, but also had a few new names as well, like hot new rookie Grant Hill, which I remembered vividly was a card I really wanted as a kid. It's also got Glenn Robinson, Jamal Mashburn, Robert Horry, and Vin Baker in the mix there, all names that definitely spark nostalgia in my mind, which is always fun. 94-95 Fleer Ultra Scoring Kings. Though I really do prefer the 93-94 Scoring Kings more, the 94-95 Scoring Kings is much more budget friendly. And though I'd suggest it's a little disappointing visually when you compare it to the 93-94 version, if you take away that comparison, this is a pretty cool set on its own. And despite the fact that these cards were just as rare as the 93-94 version at 1 per 37 packs, the fact that there's no Michael Jordan here to pull the whole set up in the minds of collectors has seemingly kept the set pretty under the radar, which means it has quite a low price tag, which is not so cool for me since I have a couple of these from my childhood that aren't worth much, like I was hoping as a kid they would be when I was an adult. But for people who want to chase a cheap set now, this one could be a great alternative to the more expensive 93-94 version. The names of the 10 cards in this set include a bunch of names you'd come to expect here in this era, sans Michael Jordan, but we also get Scottie Pippen, Mitch Richmond, and Latrell Sprewell in the mix as well. 94-95 Fleer Ultra Power. The Ultra Power cards were some of my very favorite cards to pull out of 94-95 Fleer Ultra, perhaps especially because I had the chance to pull them quite often, as they were inserted at a rate of 1 per 3 packs. But as a kid, I didn't care about the rarity of the card, I just liked the fact that I had a good chance to pull a card that looked as cool as these. This set focused on powerful players who played down low. Nowadays, this set would be ridiculously cheap to piece together, as the most expensive of the bunch, which would probably be the Shaq card, can be found for like 50 cents. A fact that the younger me would just not be able to fathom. 50 cents only for this card? Wow. And that's all we have for now. In the next video, we're gonna look at numbers 11 through 20. Originally, I was gonna put all 20 of these on one video, but it turned out that it was just getting way too long, so splitting it into 2 videos. So check out the next one in the next release.